Dear Alissa, it's me. Well, you from the future. I'm writing this letter to tell you that this world is cruel. It's going to take a lot out of you and beat you while you're down. No amount of writing can prepare you for what's to come. The best I can do is warn you of what you'll have to go through. The important thing is that you'll get through it. Take this letter as proof that things will get better and that your battle isn't quite over yet. This battle isn't necessarily the ones you see on the news or in movies, but it feels similar. Except with this battle, it's just one soldier versus an overpowered battalion. You're the soldier, and the battalion is a society that prides itself on breaking down others. It's a cheesy comparison, I know, but that's how it felt. I wish I would have had someone write me a letter like this before I went through that. This battle that I went through had to do with my body image. Growing up, I was taller than most of my classmates, and I was quite proud of that. It made me feel strong, and I didn't have a care in the world. You can clearly tell, especially with my style back then. I guess my style was not having a style. It's still like that today, but sometimes I have good taste. I just wish I could have kept that sweet childhood innocence that you have. Enjoy it while it lasts. You're gonna find that life is going to throw curveballs at you. You're gonna realize that the society we live in has a certain standard for women like you and I. Except you're a younger version of me, which makes what I'm going to say in this letter sound more cruel. At the time of me writing this, I'm 18, which is still really young, so having to explain my experiences from an even younger age will probably scare you, but that's kind of the point. It all started when I was 7, probably even younger. I suddenly became aware of how I was bigger than all the other kids, not just taller, and it was all because of one weekend. I was staying with my aunt that weekend, and I needed a new outfit for some random reason, so we went to Target. I went to the kids section and picked out an outfit that I liked. My aunt suggested I try it on, and I did. It didn't fit. It was the biggest size in the kids section. My aunt shook her head and said, I guess it's time for you to move on to the women's section. Those words broke me. I was still a kid. I didn't want to be a woman yet. I actually started becoming aware of my weight and how my size was a bad thing. I didn't look anything like the women on TV and magazines or even in the movies I enjoyed watching. I hated my body. What made it worse was that my family started giving me a hard time about my weight. They constantly told me to watch what I ate and would abuse me if I didn't listen. But they were the ones who would bring home fast food for dinner every night because that was all we could afford. I don't think they ever realized that was part of the problem, but I still love them and they've become way nicer lately. Alyssa, it pains me to tell you that this part is one of the hardest you'll go through. This is the part that breaks your spirit beyond repair. In the end, they'll tell you that they did that all because they care, but it's not worth the trauma. You'll never see yourself the same again. It got to the point where I started ripping up pictures of myself as a kid. There was nothing wrong with the pictures, except that I was in them. The girl I saw in the mirror seemed ugly. This brings me to my main point. You know there's a problem with society when a baby calls themselves ugly. No child is born thinking they're ugly. Alyssa, you're gonna have to grow up in a society that hates your body because it doesn't fit the standard. Growing up in the early 2000s instilled the image that you had to be tiny and petite in order to be pretty. Everyone wanted to look like Britney Spears and Jennifer Aniston. Thin, slender, flat stomachs, you name it. Led to so many people, including the celebrities themselves, developing eating disorders and feeling pressured to be thin. Seemed like people were scared to gain weight, especially when various tabloids demonized celebrities who gained the smallest amounts of weight. In many forms of media, people would constantly make jokes about gaining weight despite being skinny.
They're these weird nutrition bars my mom uses to lose weight. Give me it. I really want to lose 3 pounds. Oh my god, what are you talking about? You're so skinny. Shut up.
But, you know Natalie, who works here?
The chubby girl?
Who
You call her chubby? I think there's a pretty sizable ass there, yes, sir.
Fine. You can walk home, bitches.
That's where you're going, fat ass.
The fashion of the time didn't necessarily help either. Low cut jeans, tiny shirts, and just about anything that focused on showing a flat stomach. To make things worse, many celebrities were body shamed, and we were conditioned to believe that some were fat, but looking at them today, they were at a healthy weight. In the early 2010s, being thin was still the standard. Many people still struggled with eating disorders back then as they do today. The emergence of social media at the time, like Tumblr and Twitter, opened up a whole new platform of body shaming. Many blogs were started that encouraged eating disorders and unattainable bodies. The thigh cap became part of the beauty standard. As the 2010s progressed, a new body standard emerged from a particular family, the Kardashians. At the time, you didn't really think much about it, but the beauty standard was starting to shift. Fuller lips, hourglass figures, bigger boobs, and butts came into the picture, yet flat stomachs and tiny figures still remained. The thing is, the Kardashians were openly saying they had undergone multiple plastic surgeries to achieve their perfect figures. Yet they promoted unhealthy weight loss supplements, unrealistic workouts, makeup, and clothing to their fan base so that they too can have those features as well. Another problem that's emerged within recent years is editing pictures. Many magazines have been called out for photoshopping their models. Same thing with the Kardashians. But the thing is that the software has become widely available. It's free and just a few taps away on your phone. Many influencers have picked up that habit and sometimes they get called out for doing so. People point out obvious curves in the backgrounds of each picture or how different they look in a video compared to the pictures. You know that those pictures are edited, but you don't care. You still yearn to look exactly like them, but it's impossible. Your shoulders are too broad, hips are too wide, too tall, and way too much. You've been sucking in your stomach since fourth grade, and you're left with a line on your stomach that never goes away. You don't have the money to get plastic surgery. You can't change your height. You feel stuck. So you fall into a slump. Food begins to seem gross to you. You weigh yourself every day hoping for some kind of change. At some points, you wish you could just cut your stomach open and take the fat out yourself. You work out obsessively every day and even buy into those fast weight loss scams. But none of it works. You still weigh the same, and your mind still tells you that you're ugly. Nothing changes. You come to terms with that, and the hate grows. The only solace you'll get is self-deprecating jokes. You constantly make fun of yourself to make you feel better. That is, until reality sets back in. You'll never be seen as the beauty standard. You'll just be pushed off to the side. You'll try to become someone else in order to escape that pain, but reality always comes back to bite you in the ass. You'll always be cast as the motherly or manly characters in plays. People will continue to confuse you as being your parent's sibling instead of their daughter. You'll look older than you really are. Your mind will always tell you that you'll never be enough, and it'll constantly pull you down into a worse state of mind. You start to feel like a failure. Your attempts to change your body were unsuccessful, so why should the rest of who you are continue to succeed? It gets to the point where you feel like the world would be better off without you. You even consider suicide. Your mind tells you that your loved ones didn't care. You don't matter to them. But that's your breaking point. Then you get hit by one last reality check. The ones you love do care, and they see you in a completely different light than how you see yourself. They see the best of you and see you as a beautiful person. Not because of how you look physically, but how you are. How you have a big heart and never hesitate to help others. How you manage to stay positive when life throws the worst your way. In fact, the self-deprecation and self-doubt that you constantly do hurts them. Your intent was to bring yourself down for the sake of entertaining them, but it got out of hand. It was never funny. They went along with it for a while until one day someone actually said something. My mom. Oh, your mom? Our mom? Whatever. Anyways, one day she asked you why you constantly make fun of yourself. You tell her why and she sits you down. You saw yourself the way I saw you. You wouldn't say such bad things about yourself. You keep hurting yourself for no reason, she tells you. Wow, really hit it out of the park with that sentence. But that was part of the solution. You wouldn't tell someone else the things you told yourself. So what makes you any different? Your negativity toward yourself was starting to affect the people around you, especially your little sister who looked up to you. She was even starting to do the same things. Seeing her put herself down opened your eyes. When she talked bad about herself, I saw you, my younger self, in her. It broke my heart and was a clear sign for me to stop the self-hate. From that point, I forced myself to like the image I saw in the mirror. I would give myself small compliments throughout the day to lift myself up. I started to realize how unrealistic body standards are and decided to just flat out ignore them. There's no point in me trying to fit into something unattainable. If I did, then that would just lead me down a rabbit hole. If I change one thing about myself, I'm probably going to find another thing that I hate and nitpick every little thing for the rest of my life. If I did want to change something now, I wouldn't do it to conform to beauty standards. I'm doing it for myself. Coming to terms with my body wasn't an easy journey. I learned that I'm stuck with this body for the rest of my life, so I might as well treat it nicely. Despite my insecurities, I shouldn't hate certain aspects of myself for just existing. Everyone's body is different. Weight is carried differently. Everybody has little things that make them unique. So why should all women try to look the same to fit a beauty standard that's unattainable? I stopped comparing myself to others, and I embraced the parts of myself that make me me. From there, things got better. Your mindset improves. I'm not completely out of that mindset though. I don't think I'll ever be. I still doubt myself occasionally, and there are some points where my self esteem goes down the drain. When that happens, the best thing to do is take a step back and treat yourself the way you would treat the ones you love. Alyssa, these times are rough. You're a strong person, but you'll only grow stronger if you're able to overcome these obstacles in your life. I think this is one of the hardest battles you've gone through so far, but we still have a whole life to live, which means even more challenges. Take it one day at a time, and hopefully you'll get through this. I believe in you. Wish you the best of luck with this part of your life. Love, Alyssa, from the future.